And then we go to the main event. Impact World Champion Josh Alexander defeated Rich Swann to retain his title. Um, you know, so it took a long time for them to get this crowd. It really did. It was like in the like the first, I would say 15, 20 minutes or so, I'm like struggling to stick with this match. And so was the crowd. They were silent for a lot of it. It kind of reminded me of New Japan style main events where they're just taking forever to get into that next gear. And I thought they might not ever get the crowd, but they did get the crowd. And once they got the crowd was into it. And the crowd was into really like the last 10 minutes of the match, and they were really, really behind Swann. Swann is just such a good underneath babyface, and Josh was working heel in this match. He wasn't cheating, but he was kind of like kind of a bully in this match, and I thought that it clicked. I thought that it worked. Um, but honestly, as far as Josh's world title matches on pay per view, this is probably the worst one, including the bully match. This is behind bully, obviously behind Ishii, behind Eddie, behind Kaz, right? Like this was not, this was, yeah, it's still a really good match. And I still recommend people go watch, but of the long list of awesome matches that Josh has had, this is at the bottom of that, as far as for world title matches. So, but you know, they like I said, it took forever for them to get the crowd, but once they had them, and they were completely behind Rich Swann, and to that I give them kudos, and I give kudos to Rich Swann for being able to be such a good babyface, and for Josh to play the bully, to play the heel, which is not really a role he's comfortable in. But he did it very well here, and he didn't go like full blown heel. He was just heelish in this match, but not heel enough to where crowds everywhere are going to turn on him. And look, before anybody says it, should they turn Josh heel? No, they're getting ready to do 2 months in Canada, in Ontario, Canada, Windsor, Ontario, and then Toronto, Ontario, which is where Josh is from, and he's going to be a super babyface. So, could they turn Josh heel eventually? I think that eventually they're probably going to have to if they're going to keep him interesting. But tonight Swann was the bigger babyface, but just Swann is a professional babyface here. So Alexander started to show cockiness, lightly hitting Swann in the corner with his feet. Swann fired up, hit a rolling clothesline on Alexander. And then Swann hit a kick to the face of Alexander, and then a cactus clothesline to the floor. Swann hit a rolling 450 splash on Alexander for a 2 count. Alexander got hit with a poison rana for a 2 count. If I were Impact, I would tell Josh, who has had neck surgery, never to let anybody hit a poison rana on him again. It's just not worth it. Swann went for handspring, but Alexander ran and hit a crossbody to Swann as he was upside down. That was really awesome. Alexander missed a moonsault, but both men were down. Swann hit a Falcon Arrow, but Alexander kicked out as Swann struggled to hook the leg. Alexander hit the C4 spike, but he was unable to get the pin as he stayed down. So Swann rolled out of the ring at this point. So Alexander was slow to get the pin, and while he was trying to go get the pin, Swann started rolling out of the ring. Alexander stomped on Swann on the apron and then hit a World's Strongest Slam on the apron. Swann managed to hit a spin kick to back in the ring before hitting a Phoenix Splash for a 2 count. That was a really good 2 count. Swann went for a second Phoenix Splash, but Alexander dodged, put the ankle lock, grapevining the legs. Swann fought out, but Alexander countered into a spinning tombstone pile driver a la Kazuchika Okada, and then rolled into the C4 spike for the win. So yeah, this was a really good match. This is match number 3 that I recommend people go out of their way to watch. Best match of the show was Gresham and Speedball, which was on the pre-show. I really liked the trios match, and then I ended up really liking the main event. It just took a little while to get going. So if you didn't sit through the rest of the show, you're not likely to be it's probably going to be a much easier watch for you. So I would recommend you go ahead and check it out. But overall, this was a thumbs down show. The main event was not good enough to save it. The bad was just so bad that I'm just like, I just didn't think they ever made up for it. So This show is a miss. It's a thumbs down, and I think you need to let them know that this was a thumbs down. You got to hold them accountable. You got to hold people's feet to the fire, because if you don't, they'll just keep pulling the same shit. They got to know that that busted open thing killed the crowd, and they were really struggled to ever get it back. And it killed the next match, and it partially killed Macklin's moment to shine. That, and then the booking of that match where PCO was, PCO was the actual the original visual winner, but he was screwed out of it. And Macklin stole the victory. But if you want Macklin to look like a tough heel going into Toronto, you didn't do it tonight. You really didn't. But I hope they get behind him now. I mean, he's the guy now, and that finally he's getting his shot, and I'm happy for that. And I just like to see him start stacking bodies on his way to the pay-per-view. But we'll see. We'll see if that's what they do, man. I'm not too confident that they will book this properly, but hopefully I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong.